We all got ADD. Hey, 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 hey. We are all ADD. If you got ADD, come and rockin' with me. I said we've all got ADD. Hey, 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 hey. Come and see me, ADD. What's up, 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 ADD fam? Hey, what do you know? My camera's back to normal. So, for today's saga, I don't know, I'm just shooting from the hip. I had a couple of different things that I was going to put together. For one, let me get this one past me because it's been eating at me. Short little brief thing on scab knees and how they kind of relate. Two stories about two guys watching pornography. One being a cop, the Ghostface story. A lot of you people already know what I'm talking about. And if you're new to my channel, like, comment, subscribe. Thank you. Do any and all that. Give me the middle finger. Tell me what I can do with myself. Whatever you feel led, compelled to do. So, two stories about two weirdos. One was a cop, Ghostface story, and one was stab knees, aka Scantney. Anthony, if you haven't figured out by yet, is a rather weird dude. So we, as I discussed, we did all these cross-country jobs. It wasn't until when I got hooked on dope and couldn't travel anymore, did Anthony finally go out and start doing jobs out west. It was literally right at the same time that I got hooked on opiates and I couldn't travel. I couldn't leave state. My addiction had me, Georgia bound. I couldn't leave. Would get too sick. So, before this happened, many years ago now, me, Anthony, and there was 17 of us, all loaded up in 3-4 different cars, and we all went to Texas. What's it called again? It'll come to me. It's where the Alamo is. Anyway, so it's 17-hour drive. There happens to be 15 to 17 of us. Like I said, there's 3-4 different vehicles, and we're all going to the Alamo. The town in Alamo is, I don't know, I can't think of the top of my name. Yeah, y'all should know what I'm talking about. It's spoke about a lot. I'm just drawing a blank. So we were headed there, and on our way, we were all in several vehicles, and on the way there, Anthony's in the front seat of his car, and somebody's driving him, and he's watching porn on his computer, right? He was just a weirdo like that. So, he's in the front seat, he's got a computer, and he's watching porn in the car with 3 other guys now, and they're driving, and they get pulled over. Anthony's got a bag of weed on him, and a pipe. I believe they made him toss the pipe and dump the weed out. Something along those lines. I'd have to ask him to get the specifics. It's been a very long time. But like I said, there's no doubt about it that he got pulled over. Cop was giving him weird looks. And I heard some of this from the other people that were in the car with him. Sitting there watching porn with 3 other dudes, at night. So we drove all through the night. Like I said, it was like 17-something hour drive. But we didn't even go straight there. What is it called again? Anyways, so we go, and he gets pulled over, and he has to dump his weed. And so on our way there, we stop, and we stop at an Arby's, right? This is one of the jobs on the way. Where we're headed to, God, I can't think of the name. What is it called? Where the Alamo is. Maybe it'll come to me. Anyway, so we stop, and there's like 15, 17 of us, and half of us are painters, and the other half of us are carpenters and such. Some of the guys didn't even paint at all. So remember, there was a few of us, me, Ramon, a few of us jumped out. We painted the store. spent the day at this Arby's. Somewhere along the way, there were guys with us that didn't paint. This big black guy, Mike, the guy that stole Anthony's car and was driving 100 miles an hour through the hood when Anthony chased him down. This was before then. This guy came with us. Same guy I went out of town with one time, and that night we went and hunted down some crack. This guy had shown me how you could get dope in any city. Every city's got a hood. And this guy had done a lot of traveling. He was a few years older than me. And we went and drove around the airport in that town, wherever we were, and copped dope in the middle of the night. So, we're driving, we stop at this Arby's, we paint it, and we're all dog-ass tired. We continue on, we go to the job, get to the job, and we run out of dope, and there's 15 to 17 guys spread out between 4 or 5 hotel rooms, right? No one wanted to work. It wasn't until the last day that I copped dope. We were driving around the town, can't think the name of it, and I flagged down these 2 Mexicans. And so I tell them I need coke and weed. So the next day, they bring it to the job. On our last day on the job, they bring an 8-ball and a bag of the $100 quarter weed, the $100 quarter shit of, the fire weed, the dank, 125 a quarter, I think it was. So we all geeked out the last day on the job. I think I've discussed this. This is the same job. Like I said, we have 4 or 5 hotel rooms amongst 15 people, and Hobby Slop on my knob, Roly Boly Robbie is on this job with us, and there's quite a few people, so they hire a hooker. They get a hooker. I'm walking around the back of the hotel, and I see them. This girl's going from room to room, servicing like several guys that were on that run, right? So this nasty hooker did Robbie. One of the guys was this Mexican guy I used to work with. Did him, Robbie. There was several people had the same woman, like one right after another. Disgusting, right? So there was a lot of, this kind of activity used to go on the road, as I've discussed. So Anthony was a straight freak and a weirdo. And so I never even mentioned that. Like I said, we got pulled over on the way there, and we kept going. We weren't going to stop. And Anthony got shook down, and like I said, he got pulled over while he was sitting there watching porn. We meet up at the next gas station, tells us what happened. He's back to watching his porn at night. Just a kind of an oddball. Anthony, don't take no hate to this. I'm sorry. So the other one, and I've said this before, and you would have to have watched pretty much every one of my videos, or had to have been here and watched a lot to have heard the story before. It's a good one. So as I've discussed, I have a friend Deezy, aka Wendell, and Wendell's been to prison several times. Wendell's thrown several people under the bus. He's ratted people out, and they've gone to prison. I always managed to stay one step ahead of the curb by getting away when times were hot. And another thing I even forgot to mention. So one of my last few videos or two, I talk about I'm in this place off Glade Road, and I come out of off this road that's really hot, right? And I get pulled over by Drug Task Force, a lady, and she's got a drug dog. It's actually like a roadblock, and as soon as I come, she pulls me over. And I forgot to tell this, so I had gotten some meth, so I eat some meth, right? It was in a cigarette cellophane. I take it out, I eat it, I throw the cellophane in the floorboard. I forgot to mention that part. That was the part where I was tripping out. The drug dog's in my floorboards, the passenger floorboard, sniffed right across the cellophane. She picks up the cellophane, a couple other things, looks through it, can't see nothing. It was just one shard, and it just gulp. I ate it. I'm sitting there talking to her for a while, and it don't take a whole lot of time, and it starts kicking in. I go to Deezy's house, who at the time I lived in Kennesaw, and Deezy Wendell lived right down the road from me in Kennesaw. I went to his house, and he says, hit. And this is when our buddy Tony lived with him. He says, "You all right, dude?" And I said, "Yeah, why?" He says, "You look spun." I was like, I don't know if people know a lot about meth, but it does you different kinds of ways. When you smoke it or eat it or shoot it, they all do different things to you. I ate a big old shard, big old, whatever, 20 piece or something. Ate it, gulp. I had to swallow it. And so, I looked like I hadn't slept in a month. I was like, and I remember pulling up to Daisy's house and him and Tony coming out to my car and saying, "You all right, dude? You don't look very well." Sweaty looking face, nasty, all that. So that I forgot to put that in there. Like I said, I sometimes miss key points to stories. So that happened at that time. So now let's fast forward into the future. And now Daisy lives off the South Marietta Loop, right? Sorry, I don't know what's going on here. We're at Chick-fil-A and people are going slow. So I discussed this. What are you doing? Sorry. So they had a gang called, and a lot of you gonna know this from Chad from Blood and Razor Wire. There's a gang called Ghostface, right? I've just been hearing a lot about it. People were talking about it here on YouTube, different channels. The gang called Ghostface. I happened to meet him a few years back, and this is how it went down. So there again, this story's going to be, some people have already heard the story, but it's one of the wildest ones I had ever heard, and heard it firsthand. So Ghostface has different sets, right? Like in any gang. Well, there's a set out of Marietta, Georgia, and I think it's the main and only one. If you know for sure, I only know what I know and I'm going to talk about. So there's this group, this gang called Ghostface, okay? As I've discussed in videos, in my older videos, if you don't know who DZ, aka Wendell, is, he was a friend of mine. We rode together for 20 years. And DZ had been in prison, was huge into drugs, big drug dealer. We were getting drugs from the guy in Atlanta, and you can look in my things on here on the channel. One of the drug dealers we were getting drugs from was shot and murdered in his front yard. You actually can see it there's a segment of it on Fox News or one of the news channels. Guy was actually there, his camera on his front porch was on, and he got murked in broad daylight in his front yard. They caught the people that did it. So move on. So now we're moving around town getting drugs from different people. And so he hooks up with Ghostface, right? So it's Wendell, and he's got a brother, right? And his brother Brian has a girlfriend, Ann, okay? Ann's got a son, and I can't think of her name at the top of my head. He was just like Wendell's brother, like would call his kind of like his brother-in-law. They weren't even married. He just called him his son-in-law or something. They were family. They had moved and lived together for several years. They moved through 2-3 different places where they lived each place for 5 to so many years. So this young guy, and I'm friends with him on Facebook and all that, and I won't put his name and his business out there. So this guy Wendell gives him his first shot, and this young kid gets hooked on dope. Now he's in the streets. Now he's doing everything. He's getting mom to give money when mom can't go. Mom don't give him no more money. Robbing, stealing, doing all that. The kid gets high one day, and he just arrived the street from his house, and he nods out, runs through a light, and runs right into a cop. Right? I think he got out and ran. Or tried to get away, so he had fleeing charges, all that. So the guy was in big trouble, right? He went to jail. I think mama bonded him out, and off to Denver, up to Colorado. He went to try to escape all this, right? A few years went by, and he came back. He's back here in Georgia. I don't know what happened amongst all that. During that time, I started to. It's been 3 years now that I'm clean. I started to make put my distance between us, right? So I never heard, but I see the guy on Facebook. We've been friends ever since, and so I don't know what the kid's up to. But there again, he's getting bad into dope. So this kid, and like I said, he's a kid now. He's not even, he's nowhere near our age. He's probably 20 at the time-ish. He may be 25 now. This was even way before, this was a year or two even before I quit doing dope. So this kid's running the streets in Marietta. He hooks up with Ghostface. He hooks up with Wendell is Deezy. Wendell hooks this kid up all the time. This kid's hooking Ghostface up. Ghostface is hooking him up. So now this kid is trying to get in, and he's going around telling people, he's lying, telling people that he's a Ghostface member, that he's a captain or some shit in Ghostface, right? Hi.
Hi, may I have your name?
Mike.
Mike, what can I get for
Bacon,
you?
egg, and cheese. Crispy bacon. That's it.
Okay, we don't do any alterations on the food.
Okay,
so,
you just tell them to make it, cook it thoroughly.
I'm saying.
Okay, thank you.
I'm sorry. Just a bacon, egg, and cheese
Yep.
biscuit?
Yep.
Any honey or jellies?
Strawberry jelly.
Okay, 1 or 2?
2.
Okay. It's going to be $3.70. You have cash. She's going to get it for you. It's my pleasure.
All right, thanks. All right, yeah.
All right, and
Can you tell them?
bacon, egg, and cheese?
Can you tell them to make it crispy? Make the bacon not fatty.
I can, but we don't do any well dones or anything like that. So, I'll tell them to try to get the best pieces. Okay.
Okay, thanks.
All right, it's gonna be $3.70.
Excuse me.
All right, there you are.
Thanks.
My pleasure.
Okay, so this young kid gets his girlfriend. This guy's girlfriend she's already in. She's like a ghost-faced groupie, I guess you would call her, right? She's over at Deezy's every day. There were times during then, this is when I was heavily using, so I'm over there like every day. All the time she'd be around the house, outside. As I discussed, there was a gas station right up the street from his house, and there was constantly heroin deals going down there every day, all day, several times a day. One of the times she got picked up by the police, etc., etc. Somehow she got out, and didn't add up, didn't make sense. So there were a lot of people going to jail during this time. This is the time frame I discussed. Out of 70 people, 50 of them went to jail, not including me. I always, like I said, thank the good Lord, I always stayed one head above the curb. Just always got out of there in the nick of time. I mean, as I've discussed, there were times that we were meeting the dope man and there were cops coming down the road that we literally grabbed our shit and all spread like ants. There were times that the cops were in the same apartment complex we were meeting and we couldn't get our dope. There were times we were in that apartment complex and the dope man's coming through and sees the cops and turns around and leaves. As I discussed, he had multiple vehicles running at that time. Sometimes you wouldn't even know what car he was in. Windows be tinted out all the time, flip-flopping into different vehicles to stay from getting busted. These are all in the same days and times. So there was a Ghostface chapter that was parallel to where my boy Wendell lived at the, I can say this now, this ain't snitching because things have already happened. My boy's moved. I've already discussed this. His house was raided where he moved into. So him and a bunch of people already got charges. So there's nothing I'm going to say that's going to get anybody in no shit. So Deezy's house was right down the street from this gas station I'm talking about. It's hot. People are getting popped at all the time. There's still drug deals going on. My boy Deezy's up there all day. This gas station is open all night, and they have a bunch of those lotto things. You can sit in there and play which not a lot of you sitting there and play, you know what I'm saying, sitting there gamble all night. What are those things called? Y'all know what I'm saying. So he would literally stay in there all night and gamble. And people would meet in dope, and some of the people in there was a narc or two that was in there and getting close to him. At the same time, there was a Ghostface chapter across the street and up the road about less than a mile. So all the time, DZ was running with this guy, and I've discussed him, and I'm not going to put people's names and nicknames out there because even their nicknames travel with them or on paper. If any police hears any of this, there's, they have these new stupid ass laws. They go back and, charge you just from hearsay. What do they call that? Dry snitching or something? Dry dope. If you listen enough of these type of videos, even through other channels, you're gonna know what I'm talking about. You can get busted and go to jail for just talking about dope. So I try to leave people's name out of there. Like I said, there again, I'm not gonna say anything that's not already, that someone's not. My boy DZ's already got charges. He's already, and you heard recently when I talked to Dustin, he's put himself in rehab, 20, 30 year heroin addict, right? So he makes friends with everyone. So this younger guy I'm talking about, his brother's girlfriend's son, which he's calling his kind of son-in-law, whatever, I can't remember the name he used. They called each other as like family members, is trying to get in with Ghostface. Somehow Wendell, as always, he gets involved. Now Ghostface and Wendell are dealing together. There were many days that I pulled up to this. The first time I met them all. Me and my wife went to go get DZ one morning. Remember, I was real sick, dope sick, and this is during that time where I started getting so bad off that I couldn't work. This is during that time I was hitting licks and doing whatever I could to come up with money. So I remember this one morning we go and we pick Wendell up, and we have to take him pretty much diagonally across the road. The guy's, maybe 2 miles at most from where he lives. So I pick him up, we go over there, and as always, if DZ, sometimes he would hook up and he'd have it fat. Those times he would take care of you. If he didn't have any and you were picking him up and taking him to go get some, 9 times out of 10 he's going to short you. So there was this killer blue dope that was in, and he shorts me. And I just get enough to kill the sick. And we pull up to this house, and here's 10 guys, and it literally looks like a prison yard like you see in the movies. Some are skinheads, some have hair, and they're all just skateboarding, and some are boxing, and one guy's getting, I believe what they call the test of heart. One young kid's getting inducted into their group right there as we're pulling in. One guy's getting the hell beat out of him. 2 other guys are boxing. One guy's skateboarding. It literally looked like, whatever. Boys in the Hood. This is all going on in this driveway. We pull in, and I'm with my wife keeping in mind, and this is the first time I ever met these guys. And my wife's like, give me like eat hell and die look, let's get out of here. I said, no, we can't. So we're sitting there with DZ waiting on this other guy to pull up. So the other guy pulls up, DZ jumps out, they go in the house. He's not going to do the deal around me. I already know he's going to pinch my bag, he's going to get himself some, fine, whatever. So there was a leader over there, the main guy. So the main guy of this Ghostface chapter had been in and out of prison, done all kind of crazy shit over the years. This guy was about it. So he lived in this house, and all these guys would come over there, and they would just, hang out and sling drugs and party and fight and all this kind of stuff. I've told the story again. You'd have to have seen all my videos to know this. So this main guy, me and DZ go over there one night, and it's snowing, and we have this plan. There's the place where we meet our guy to get dope is an apartment complex up the street. Well, they got all this wood out there, thousands and thousands of dollars of wood. I have a truck at this time. We're gonna go over there in my truck and steal a bunch of wood. Yes.
Here you go, sir.
Well, it's snowing, and the snow picks up, and it's picking up more and more. Now I tell him, there's no way we can do this because we got to go down a couple of hills, not steep hills, but still we got to go down some hills to get to this. This place is in the very back of the neighborhood. There's no way I was going to take a chance and take my truck. Trucks don't hold up very good in the snow. So there's no way in hell I'm taking my truck over there. So we go back, we just go to this guy's house, right? And now this guy, the main guy, the leader or whatever of that chapter of Ghostface, and it may be the only chapter, I don't know. There were guys that were coming over that lived in Atlanta. There were guys from all over coming. If you know anything about Ghostface, you'll know South Marietta Parkway, 120 Loop. If you know anybody in Ghostface, you're going to know who and what I'm talking about. Like I said, this guy was known in the streets, and I had heard his nickname plenty times before I ever even met him. We're over at this guy's house one night. It's like 2 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning. We're doing meth, we're doing this. I remember I shot us a Suboxone. We couldn't get no dope. We were trying to get dope that night, and DZ had some, but he wasn't sharing. So I wound up shooting a Suboxone, and we sat and we're listening to these guys' stories. He had stories for days and on end. One of the best stories he had told me, and there again, I've already said this, is one of the best stories I've ever heard. So they break into this restaurant, right? And I can't say the name of it. And so this was in like the 90s, right? Could even have been late 80s, 90s. This was way before this time. And this guy's telling me they were all in this restaurant all night. This is even before high-tech security. They broke in this restaurant, and they're in there with the concrete saw, and they're cutting out. They're going to cut out the safe. They're going to cut into and cut out the safe. So they're in there all night, right? Tinkering and fooling with this thing all night, literally. Day breaks. The watch out guy outside calls in over the phone, radio, and says, chill out, cut it out. It's a cop outside. Police are here, chill. Cop had pulled up in the parking lot. This is how I was going to relate. Cop is, and the watch out guy now walks away, but the cop's never seen him. Cop's in his car playing with himself, watching porn on his computer. This guy's on the sideline sitting there watching him. Cop's in there playing with himself. They're waiting. Cop's there like an hour or so. Daybreak's coming. It's now sunny outside. It's not another hour or two before the store opens. Once it daybreak, you gotta quit. So they were, at their wits' end. All night they're in there cutting and sawing on this thing. And I've told the story, like I said. They get down and they open, and they finally, the cop comes and goes, look out, tells them, all right, he's gone, continue. They had just enough time, the store's going to open, the manager's going to come in 8, 9 in the morning, whatever, or, food prep. So they know they got this all timed out. They know, times opening, closing, all this. What the heck? Stop right in the road. So they know the store is fixing to open to public. They get the safe open. There's nothing in it. There's some papers, right? Damn! They're all messed up. They leave. They ain't get nothing. Later on that night, they're watching the news, and I have to be careful here. They got into the wrong safe. The other safe had $100,000 in it. They're telling this on the news now. Local thieves break in, and like I said, I can't tell you the name. You can probably look it up and find out the name of the restaurant, right? Through, whatever. But I'm not going to put it out there, for obvious reasons. So they mention this on the news that night. Culprits, blah, 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 break in and get nothing. And they break into the wrong safe. The other safe had $100,000 in it. Imagine that. I just thought that was a good one. Like I said, there was I related those two stories. We had two people watching porn on a computer, and that's how how I kind of matched these two up. So yeah, Like I said, my boy Deezy used to run with I used to meet all kind of people like this. There was Ghostface, there was a biker club, and I'm not going to put names out there. One of the bigger biker clubs, he was buying and selling heroin to and from in those days. And so it wasn't nothing to be meeting guys on motorcycles and buying and selling heroin, meeting people at these gas stations. As I've discussed, within a so much mile radius, cops are all over this place, knowing that there's Deezy, then there's Smooth, who I've already discussed, and Smooth is huge. Gang dude, as I discussed, Manny tried to rip him off. They went to Manny's house, pulled him, got him out of his house, and put guns to his head. Deezy tried to rip Smooth off for $1,800. Went and got his car fixed on the money that Smooth had fronted him. The days of meeting Smooth were, every single day was about avoiding dipping and dodging out in the police. Many days, like I said, we'd go to meet him and the police would be in the area, and he had lookout guys. There'd be times we'd be meeting and we'd literally be seeing police just leaving parking lots, and the police are coming in hot on the trail all the time. And as I discussed, one of the guys who I said died in a hotel recently, the two people that lived in there's two people that lived in a tent right outside Deezy's house. I may go by there one day and just show you, like right on the side of the highway, this couple, in and out of prison, homeless, junkies, street people. The guy died in a hotel recently. The woman was walking down the street, 2 o'clock in the morning, going down Deezy's street, and the police pull up, and she tells them Smooth. They tell her, give her a name, and give them some information. They'll let her go. She said Smooth's name. And so, like I said, this was the road that Deezy lived on. That road led to a gas station off the 120 loop. Cops and junkies, there was actual junkies that lived around there, right? Didn't have a home. They would just, they were up all night. They'd play lottery or whatever that thing is in the gas station, and they would make moves. A lot of people that did this would get dope off of people, got dope off of Deezy, Wendell, and would cut it and take some, and you could go at any time of the day and night to go meet these people, and this kind of shit was going on. And like I said, at least once a week, sometimes more, somebody would get popped, somebody would get picked off. You got 4 or 5 people in a gas station meeting the same guy. It wasn't hard to see what was going on. A blind man could see what was going on. So those are scary, perilous times. I'm glad I'm out of it. I hope some of my stories can help someone. You don't want to be on the other end of that stick. I promise you don't. Sticking a needle in my arm was the worst mistake I'd ever done. And it just developed and got worse and worse, and I eventually got to where I was lethargic and had done it for so long where I couldn't work without it. Once I got there, I knew things rapidly started falling apart for me. And I hope you don't have to put yourself in that predicament. This is part 1, part 2, whatever. I got a good one with my wife coming up. She's got some crazy prolific story. I tried to get her to tell it last night. I'm going to force her to tell it today. There's a number code and there's a date, and it comes down to, and it's got to do with, I forgot the name, the Mishpah, it has to do with the Jewish calendar and this type of stuff. A lot of things are revolving around end times, and like I said, my wife's got information on this that can actually break it down and show you and prove this is what's happening. I may not be able to send this out yet. It's going to be a few minutes because my wife will kill me. She finds out I'm recording video still, and because like I said, I got in a little fender bender and my insurance doubled. So stay ADD, keep rocking with ADD. I love you. Thank you. Like, comment, subscribe, give me a middle finger, tell me I can go do it myself, and tell your friends and family about me, please. Thanks. Stay ADD. Ha ha. He, ho.